Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And today I have for you a card that I've started working on with the BOHO Indigo suite out of the new annual catalog. It's a kit that is an all-inclusive kit that has a stamp set, a die set, papers, designer series papers. It has tags and stickers and die cut leaves and all kinds of stuff. And so this is my first play with that, and I've come up with a thank you card. And so let's just get started. Okay, here is my card, and let me show you about this suite. I love these kits. There's a couple of them that made it through from last year. The Most Wonderful Time of the Year was one that was around last Christmas, and I used that and used it and used it. And this is on page 9 of the annual catalog. This is the BOHO Indigo product medley. So it is a kit that comes in a box. And in this box, there is, let me show you the papers. This is the designer series paper pack. So there are lots of papers in here. And I'll show you, this is one side of this paper. This is another. So I'll leave that turned. These two are two other ones of the patterns, and they're really beautiful. And they're all in this indigo blue, which goes beautifully both with Night of Navy and our new Misty Moonlight. So here is this, which is yet another set of papers. Then this one, which is this on the reverse. Then there is this pattern, which has this, let's see, yes, this pattern, which has this on the reverse. Then there's this sort of modern stripe looking, and it has this one on the reverse. Then there is this little, I don't know what kind of pattern that is, but it's really a pretty little leaf pattern. And that one has this paper on the other side. And you can see by going through here, there's quite a bit of paper. And so those are all of the designer series papers that come in this kit. And so it's the equivalent of getting a 12 by 12 paper pack that's just cut down 6 by 6. So there are 8 sheets of each pattern, both of them double-sided. And the patterns, I think, are gorgeous. Now then, in addition to that, there's 2 pages of 3 different designs that are embossed. And these are done on very vanilla. I'll bring this one up and see if I can show, oh, yeah, here we go. Show you on the camera the pattern. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's little circles over other little circles. And it's an embossed piece. So you could use this, and there's 2 pieces of this. There's 2 with a diamond pattern, and I'm hopeful that you'll be able to see that pattern on there. And then there's 2 with this kind of a floral pattern that looks like bursts that are little flowers with little dots in the center, raised embossed material, and hopefully you'll be able to see those. And so there are 6 by 6 sheets of that in here. Let's see, in addition, there is, grab these things out of here. there are a couple pages of these die-cut leaves, and the complementary color on this is garden green. And I found that garden green can be a very dark color, and this is the equivalent of garden green stamped off once. And then this is got some gold detail on it, and it's very, very pretty. Then there are 2 sheets of different labels. There's this one, which has labels that have banner ends on them, something that looks almost like a marquee, and then some gold flowers and some other shapes. And then there is another whole set of labels. This one came out of here. You can see how big this one is. And then there's just some different, anyway, there's 2 pages of each of these labels and 2 pages of these die cut pieces in here. So it's a pretty good value, I think, for all of the parts and pieces. Then in addition, there is this stamp set, A Bunch of Birthday Love to You, Such Happy News, Sorry You're Feeling Blue, Thank You. And then there's these leaves, 2 or 3 of these vases, this little medallion. There's actually quite a bit. Then on top of that, there is this die set. And in this die set, there's some of the same leaves that we see in this pattern here. For instance, this leaf is a little bit like this one, only short. Then there's some with more spiky ends, and then one that looks like just small leaves, and it's also got a piece that looks like it embosses on it. And then vases. And there are a ton of vases here, some of which are represented in the stamp set, like this is this shape. This one is this big one down here. This tall one, I think, is this one. But then there are 1, 2, 3, 4 additional vase shapes. A little flower that cuts out this little flower. This one, which cuts out these 3 flowers together. And so it's actually quite complete. And I will be doing 2 or 3 videos in a row on this one. I've created a bunch of different examples, and so I will be doing several videos on this one, but I thought we'd start with this one. And so for this, okay, here are the pieces that we need to make our card. I used a very vanilla base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have 2 pieces of the Misty Moonlight that are cut 4 by 5 1/4. 2 pieces of Very Vanilla that are cut 3 3/4 by 5. Then we need a scrap piece of Very Vanilla for doing my flowers. Then here are the ribbons that come with this set. There is this gold ribbon, ruched kind of looking ribbon, and this very pretty dark navy ribbon with a ruffled kind of edge. Then there are 2 sizes of these little flowers that have a little center, looks like a little piece of wood on them that are glued on. And so we have some of those items here. And this one looks like it's lost its little wood piece, so I'm going to put a rhinestone on it to take the place of that. And these little pieces can easily be colored, so I could use my Misty Moonlight and my water painter and go over those flowers if I wanted to, but I thought they were kind of pretty just the way they are. So that is all that's in the kit. And so what I've done on this one is, this is the inside. I used the leaves to do the decoration on the inside of this card. So let's start with our stamping. So on this, what we have is this very large vase. Okay, so this is a photopolymer set. So I'm going to use my Misty Moonlight ink and ink this up. And the inks that I'm using for this card are Misty Moonlight and Garden Green. And I've got both of those here and a little bit of scratch paper for when I need it. But I'm inking this up, and I'm just going to set this down here towards the bottom of my piece of scrap, because I want to put those leaves at the top. So there is my vase. I think that came out just fine. Now then, on this piece, I'm going to close that up for now and go to my Garden Green. And what I've done on the card that I made, I used the Garden Green full strength, and I'm going to bring a piece of scratch paper in here so you can see what that looks like. So if we go with the Garden Green and we do it full strength, then we get some very dark leaves like we got on this one that I made up as my prototype here. And if we instead do a stamp down once and then use the second generation stamp, we get a lighter bunch of leaves. And what we're going to do, I'll show you how to stamp this so it comes out looking like you want it to. I'm going to stamp off once lightly, and then I'm going to set these leaves right down here. Pardon if my head gets in the way. You want to have those stems go right into the top of that jar. And there we've got those leaves. Now, ahead of time, what I did was I stamped both with a little lighter generation and with a darker generation. And I'll tell you that this one came out very pale, but I kind of like this one. And what I did, there is a die that cuts out this vase. But what I did was I stamped both because I didn't want the leaves to be stamped on the card and then just the vase raised. And so I was going to have to fussy cut out the leaves. And this is such a simple project to fussy cut out. I mean, going around this jar is nothing. And then there's just a few leaves because you're going to have the very vanilla on the background anyway. So I went ahead and just fussy cut out this rather than use the die. And I'll have to say, I think I'm going to try on this one to use the lighter bunch of leaves to put our card together. So the other thing that I've done is I cut a piece of this designer series paper, and it's right here. And what I did was I cut a 2-inch strip of this paper. You know what? That's the wrong paper as I look at it. Let me get in my paper and get the right one out, because I like the fact that this has both dark and light. And this pattern is very close, but it's not the same. So there it is. There's the pattern that I really wanted. So I'm going to cut a 2-inch piece of that. I'm going to bring out my trimmer, and I'm going to cut this at 2 inches So if you wanted to make this card, you could really make quite a few of them because you have a whole bunch of these pieces of paper, and we're only using a 2-inch strip on this. So there's my 2-inch strip, not this one. And I'm going to take this little piece of 3 3/4 by 5 paper, and I'm going to set this strip down here, and you can see that I put it so that it had a little bit of a margin on this side. So let me put some snail on the back of my piece of paper here. Okay, and I'm going to set that down with a small margin on this side and put this into place on my card coming down the page, and that way I can have a perfect fit, because I'm just going to slice this piece off so that it fits absolutely perfectly on our piece of paper. All right, then this piece is ready to go on my Misty Moonlight piece. Isn't that pretty? I just love this blue. It is just gorgeous, and normally I'm not a big blue person, but I do love this. And so let me get a little bit of glue down on this and get this set on this piece of paper, centered with the same margin kind of all the way around. There we go. Now then, this piece is ready to go onto my card base. This is really a very simple card, and yet I think it's very attractive. So I'm going to put this down. The only thing that's raised on here is the little vase of leaves and flowers. So I'm going to put that in place, and then I'm using the thanks stamp, and I don't want to do that in garden, although that might be kind of interesting. I think I am going to do that in garden green. I'm going to put my thanks right down here on the bottom of my vanilla panel, and there is my thanks. Then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to add some dimensionals. I'm going to add my little vase right here so that it spans both the designer series paper and this piece of very vanilla here. Okay, now for the inside, what I did on this is I just used some of these leaves stamped off once on this panel, and I'm going to take my leaves and put them back into the garden green here, and I'm going to stamp off once, and then I'm going to put one set of these leaves, let me just put this on here, coming in from this upper corner onto the page. Oops, I got some ink on my finger and got it onto the page. It looks like I'm an equal opportunity ink smearer. So let me grab another piece of very vanilla. Okay, let's try that again. All right, I'm going to stamp off once, and then I'm going to stamp those leaves right on this upper corner. And isn't that just pretty? I just love this leaf spray. It's such an attractive little stamp. And put that down on this corner, and there we go. And we are ready to put this piece on our backing of the Misty Moonlight. So I'm just going to add a little bit of snail and put this piece on here. And then put this piece on the inside of my card. Okay. So this piece is ready to go on the inside of my card. These kits are so much fun to work with because you're really not given any specific guidance about making any one thing. So you get to just kind of mess around with all of it. Now this is the twine that comes from the Forever Greenery suite that has the Misty Moonlight, and it's got white and silver. Now the white I thought wasn't too stark because it's got the blue and the silver on it, so it wasn't too much for this little vase. Let me get my scissors here, and I want these tails to kind of come down here towards the bottom. So I'm going to snip off the tails here, and I thought using a glue dot, what I would do is turn this glue dot on itself here to make a narrow piece, almost like a little sausage, so that it would go behind the bow on the knot and go on to place. And I set mine kind of off to one side on this vase, and there it's got some pretty sparkles. And then I'm taking 2 or 3 of these little flowers and putting them also on a glue dot and putting them on the face of this bunch of greenery, one kind of hanging over the pot here, and I don't know how many there are, but that's the other thing that's kind of interesting about this card kit, is once you buy the card kit, you can buy the refill kit for less, and you can get more paper, stickers, laser cuts, everything but the stamp set and the die set, and you can keep going with this design for some time. So I'm going to put one of those flowers here. And add a few rhinestones around on the page. And I'm going to put kind of one of these very large ones right in here next to the vase, and then maybe a medium one up right here. And you see how it starts to pick up the sparkle in the twine, which I love. And this little one's going to get a rhinestone in it, so it'll match the other one. And there we go. We have this card pretty well done. Maybe another rhinestone. You know me, I can't. Sometimes it's hard to not add some more bling. Maybe one up there in that flower. One more. So I'm going to add this little guy here, or not, and put it right up here. There we go. All right, so there we have our card from, or my first play with this BOHO Indigo suite. And we've got this little twine, isn't it? That's just such pretty twine with the light blue on it, or the Misty Moonlight white and silver, and then the silver picks up the sparkle on the rhinestones around the card, and then on the inside simply these leaves. And I will be working with this suite for quite a bit. I have a 3-card Simple to Simply Stunning piece coming from this suite, and then 1 additional card, and maybe by then I'll have another couple of examples that I can show you. I love this suite. I think it's a real sleeper, and there's something about these blue papers, because some of these papers aren't florals, they're just patterns. And so I think this has some real opportunity if we keep the patterns going, like something like this, along with a vase maybe in a navy blue, and just the vase. And it's immediately a masculine card. So I just think that this has versatility forever with this. And so that is my card for this time. That's my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. Joining Stampin' Up! Is always a good deal. $125 worth of product for $99, and you start out with a 20% discount. One of the beauties about Stampin' Up! Is the coordination of the products. So whether I was using Night of Navy with this or the Misty Moonlight, I've got the ink, the paper, the designer series paper, the materials. Think about this. There's ribbon in the Misty Moonlight that is the in-color ribbon. This, I've been fooling around with it, is the denim. Look how beautifully the denim goes with this. So I think there's just a ton of things that we can do with this, and I'm pleased with it, and we'll be working with it over the next week or so. So there'll be several of these projects out. Let's see, my prize draw for the month of July is the Birds and Branches bundle out of the new catalog, and all you have to do to get yourself in my drawing is to put an order of any size on my shop, lbedinger.stampinup.net, or you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. Okay, the other thing about that's going on with Stampin' Up! Right now is this is bonus day, so for every $50 you spend in July, you get a $5 coupon to redeem in August, and in August is when the holiday catalog comes out, and that's now called the fall and winter catalog. It goes from August through year end and has Christmas stuff in it and fall stuff and Thanksgiving and all of that kind of stuff. So wouldn't it be fun to have a few coupons to spend on some of the new stuff out of the new catalog? And if you've ordered from me in the last 6 months, there's a catalog probably on its way to you right now. They should probably start being delivered next week, or maybe even this week. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Again, that's it for me. I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!